6. So in the first act of the first movie, as the Force powers begin to develop at a military facility, they momentarily leave to stop an altercation on a bridge. And then after the altercation, the military lets them go. You had 4 superpowered beings in your custody and you just let them go? So it's okay to assume that everybody's okay with them roaming free, right? Nope. In the second movie, when the military has to team up with the Fantastic Four to save the world from Galactus, they send the one asshole on the planet who hates the Fantastic Four to collaborate with them.
Personally, I don't like the idea of sharing sensitive information with a civilian scientist, especially one who enjoys the public spotlight so much.
Who the hell is running this Mickey Mouse outfit?
Even though the world is at stake, I say we send the biggest douchebag we have available to help the Fantastic Four. Boom, boom, bee, boom.
Number 5. One of my former complaints about the first movie is how the final battle is so damn short. It's awesome, but short. Now, the reason I say former complaint is that while this particular climax might be short, it's not the disappointing bit of bullshit that was the climax in the second movie. Number 1. Doom steals the Silver Surfer's powers, so he's out of the fight. Number 2. Sue is mortally wounded, so she's out of the fight. Number 3. Reed is grieving Sue, so he's out of the fight. And number 4. Due to some instability in the power cosmic, Johnny gains the ability to absorb the powers of the others. They all agree to give their powers to Johnny, which leaves the Thing out of the fight. And yes, I know, Ben helps. A little. But that's no substitute for seeing the Thing kicking ass. I don't know about you, but when I went to see this movie, I wanted to see the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer kicking ass and saving the day. Instead, the Silver Surfer defeats Galactus alone by doing something, which is pretty ridiculous considering that that would be the equivalent of an angel defeating God. And of course, Johnny takes on Doom alone, which is so insulting to the other characters. And especially disappointing for me, because the Thing is one of my all-time favorite characters. I mean, could this possibly get any more degrading?
To quote a friend of mine, it's clobbering time.
That takes care of that. Fantastic fact!
Did you know that Johnny Storm's former love interest Frankie Ray, aka Nova, is actually in the movie? That's right, the Human Torch gets a visit from an old flame. Get it? Boy, I'm on fire today. There I go again.
Number 4! Galactus is one of the most feared and destructive entities in the world of comics, and this movie does a fantastic job of keeping the Purple Planet Eater hidden until the final act, where we finally get to see that Galactus is a giant cloud. Really? Now I can understand how a giant man in a Mardi Gras mask is not that intimidating, but is this really the best that they could come up with? The world is going to be eaten by the fucking mystery mist from Lost? I rank the lame! Number 3! While the first movie may have a more satisfying ending, it is still sorely lacking in structure. I swear to God, the story structure to this movie is so simplistic a 3rd grader could have written it. Act 1, they get their powers. Act 3, they learn to work together and defeat Doom. And what happens in between?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
I kid you not, nothing of any true value gets added to the movie during this section. Doom is evil and he continues to be evil. Reed studies their powers, which leads to absolutely nothing. And yes, he does try to cure Ben, but as I said before, this gets thrown out of the window really fast. For the most part, they engage in what I like to call the fantastic sitcom.
Sorry.
so many shenanigans, it's not like they have something more important to do like fighting crime! Fantastic fact!
Did you know that the part of Colonel Douchebag was originally intended to be played by Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury? Luckily, Marvel decided to retain the rights to Nick Fury to include him at the end of the Iron Man movie. It's truly a shame, because BMF Jackson would have whooped the Fantastic Four into shape. That's right, Colonel Fury, you're one badass mother.
Number 2! Sue Richards, the Invisible Woman, holds a meaningful and important role in comic book history. For starters, she was the first female superhero in Marvel Comics, which garnered her the nickname the First Lady of Comics. Originally known as the Invisible Girl, Sue holds the distinction of evolving past her original incarnation, and not just in the maturing of her name, as she is the only one of the Fantastic Four whose powers actually continue to improve. So much so that some believe she is the more powerful of the four. Sue has a degree in biochemistry, and she was the first female hero to enter into motherhood, which in no way slowed down her superheroics. With all that said, I have to ask the following question. Jessica Alba? Jessica Alba? Jessica Alba? Does anything about this girl fit into any of the attributes that I just mentioned? Firstly, she's a terrible actor. And yes, I will agree that she did improve in the second movie, but that's like saying that Transformers 1 is better than Transformers 2. And that stupid running gag where she always ends up naked, it's not funny. All that says to me is that they have so little confidence in her that seeing her naked is all that she's good for.
Why does this always happen to me?
And am I the only one who thinks she looks too damn young? Especially when she's standing next to the other characters. Both Yohan Gruffett and Julian McMahon look way too old for her, and seeing them pursue her romantically creeps me the hell out. And that goes for you too, Machete.
Machete don't text.
Sue is a badass superhero who can easily lead the four when she needs to. She has the brains and the authority to keep the boys in line, which is something we never see in the movies. Personally, if it was up to me, I would have casted Maria Bello in the part. But that's just me. At this rate, it's only a matter of time before we cast Jessica Simpson as Miss Marvel, or Lindsay Lohan as the Wasp, or Jennifer Gardner as... Oh yeah, I always tend to repress that memory. Moving on. Number 1! As much as the points that I have made during this countdown bother me, I can get over them. That's right, I can get over the bad casting, the shitty writing, and all the goofiness. But there is one thing that I cannot get over. You see, in these movies, Dr. Doom is a fucking idiot! In the beginning, there were two kinds of antagonists in the world of comics. The mastermind and the supervillain. Dr. Doom was both. Why in the fuck did they give him superpowers in these movies? Dr. Doom doesn't need them, and that is the most badass thing about him. He is a genius who mastered both science and magic. He can effortlessly defeat most of the superheroes in the Marvel Universe. He rules his own country. He has diplomatic immunity, which means he can never be arrested. He has technology that puts Tony Stark to shame. And he has, on separate occasions, stolen the powers of the Silver Surfer, the Beyonder, and Odin. Yes, he stole the powers of a god. Here, he gets his powers, and what does he do? He tries to kill Reed by freezing him, slowly. He incapacitates both Ben and Johnny, but leaves them unguarded so they can easily get back on their feet. Oh, and he does absolutely nothing to stop Sue, leaving the door wide open so she can walk right in and... Then in part 2, his plan is to steal the Silver Surfer's powers, which is awesome, but then when he gets them, he just goes on a rampage. You know, in both the comics and the cartoon, when he stole the Silver Surfer's powers, he took over the world in a matter of hours!
Call me Doom.
Oh, just hit him with the power cosmic, Silverado. So those are my top 10 Fantastic Four failures. In spite of them, I still think these movies could have been far worse. Case in point.
It's Barbara time.
Oh, and yes, as horrible as Roger Corman's Fantastic Four is, I still think that Rebecca Stabb is a far better Invisible Woman than What's-Her-Face. So next week...
Hey ERod, I'm sorry to interrupt, but how did you stop Galactus from eating the Earth?
Oh, I told him he could eat Vulcan.
But ERod, ERod, wouldn't that upset the Star Trek fans?
Apparently not as much as Spock kissing Uhura. Go figure. Anyway, so next week... Wait, what? We have time for one more? Yes! Stanley cameo!
Excelsior! Oh!
No, really, I'm Stan Lee.
I believe that says it all. Next week, it's back to basics. Until then, I'm ERod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster.
Don't need no more. That's ungrammatical. Sue can save from flying. Johnny is the human toy. The thing just loves the sky. Roll for more.
Check out my website, suckers!